All right, Ron, we have 3 board members here. Nori's not going to be here. I don't see Raymond yet, but we need to get started.
Yep, I see that. So let's do that. Welcome, everyone. This is the Banks School District May 10th school board meeting. We'll go through our agenda here. We're not going to have 1.2 for flag salute. And for public comment and audience comments, we are on a Zoom meeting. And if you have any, please address those to the superintendent. And with that, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we move on to, there's no presentations, Jeff?
No, there isn't.
Okay. Move down to number 4, consent agreement. Do I have a motion? Or do we need a motion for this, the consent?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion for the consent?
I make a motion we approve the consent.
Second.
Second. Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Go down to discussion items. Jeff?
All right, so our monthly COVID-19 update. So I'll just go through a few things and then I'll open it up for questions from board members if you have some, and also invite the principals at that time if you have any questions for them as well. So I'll just tell you the numbers are back above 200 per 100,000, which says in the guidance that you maintain 6 feet. If you would have gone to 3 feet, you could stay there, but we never did go to 3 feet yet. So I'm anticipating a drop here fairly soon, but we shall see. The numbers come out tomorrow, and some of you may already have some inside intel on that. But, you know, we did send out a survey talking about returning 5 days a week for high school, and Jacob put that in his report as well as I did. It was about 60% in favor, 40% just to remain as is, and that was, you know, give or take a few. We haven't ruled out 5 days for the high school. We will continue to monitor as we've had some cases up here, and as we've done contact tracing and quarantining. So the other, you know, one of the questions, and I just wanted to state it because maybe people will watch this later, but one of the questions that was stated in the survey is, why is the elementary middle school different? Why can't we all start 5 days a week? High school is a little different in we have multiple cohorts there. So people are in multiple cohorts. So at our elementary and middle school, we set up one cohort, prep time. Also, the schedule was set up initially to minimize cohorts, which wasn't as easy as a high school. We couldn't do a self-contained classroom at the high school. So that's just the way we set it up way back in July and August. But one thing we're doing at the high school this year is we're simulcasting with OWLs. And I would just call it our test school. And that allows us more flexibility as far as being able to do CDL and in-person simultaneously. And that created more flexibility. We did not do that because it does cost money to buy these devices, but we dedicated 9 teachers to CDL at the K-8 level. So just wanted to clarify. I don't know if that question is out there a lot, but that's why we didn't. It's why the elementary school and the middle school are different. Next year, the 3 schools need to be consistent. And I sat through a meeting on, I believe, last week. So I just wanted to update you in considerations for the 21-22 school year that is being discussed at the state level, and then they are getting feedback throughout, is first of all, they're not planning on finalizing the plans for the 21-22 school year until July 19th, which is I'm pretty disappointed over that, just the fact that it's July 19th, to where we could get some finalizations. Now, we're going to have a lot of meetings leading up to July 19th and have a pretty good idea of what the protocols, procedures, all of that in place. But with that being said, things they are looking at and considering for 21-22 is retiring the school metrics that we followed this year, minimizing protocols and requirements, and that includes cohort limits. They talked about retiring the hybrid model. So it's either in person, without hybrid, so 5 days a week. They're talking about maintaining a CDL option. That creates a little bit of a challenge for smaller districts, in that bigger districts, they can dedicate one teacher for high school math and one teacher for ELA and one teacher and so on. But it's a little different at a smaller school. I have heard both, that they're going to require that we offer that option, or I've heard that we are not going to have to offer that option. I talked with the ESD superintendent today, and they are working on some things to be able to help small schools offer online options, and CDL options, to where we can maintain and retain the enrollment of that student. So more to come on that. I've heard, like I've said, 1 week I hear one thing and 1 week I hear the next. So that's probably the biggest challenge, because we can plan and move forward with 5 days a week and this and that, what schedule's going to look like, and it's back to 8 to 3 stuff, 8:20 to 3 with students and so on. But trying to plan for a CDL, and so fairly soon, I could survey people, and if I could get a somewhat rough number on who could possibly choose CDL next fall. But I mean, a lot of things can change. Vaccination numbers go way up. Case numbers are going to drop. I mean, all of these types of things that there's still a lot of unknowns. So that's a pretty tough question to ask people right now. The one thing they're talking about is returning to previous instructional time requirements. So that's been another question this year, is we haven't reached our 990 minutes at the high school, and that those Division 22 standards were changed this year because of COVID, but they're talking about returning to previous instructional time requirements. And if they do that, that's got to eliminate a majority of the restrictions that we have right now. I will say that there'll still be masks. We're still going to have to contact trace. We're probably still going to have to quarantine. That type of stuff is still going to be there in our schools. The last topic I want to cover, and then I'll open it up for questions, is I just want to talk summer school real quick. So the summer school survey had about 128 responses, and 36% of parents of the 128 that they were not interested in us offering summer school. About 36% said offer a 2 to 4 week type plan, and then 28% were over 4 weeks. I'm not too, well, I wish I would have worded the question a little differently, but I said your choice was end of June to mid-July to 1st of August, and then August. There was about 56 people out of the 128 that talked about end of June to mid-July. Mid-July to August is about 30, and then August only is about 30. So it's kind of hard to tell from that, because end of June, mid-July, and mid-July. So I wish I would have worded that a little differently. But the one thing is, I mean, there is a little preference for the end of June to mid-July, but there's a few things also to take into consideration, and that's one is staffing. When is staff available? And it's more in August is staffing, and also the planning time. That's a very quick turnaround, and I know we're a month out from that, but we're going to have a successful summer school, we need to have things in place and engaging activities, and setting up, whether it's field trips, guest speakers, things like that. So we have quite a bit of planning to do. We do think we have enough staff that have volunteered to do that. Obviously, staff will be paid in the summer for doing this. And so I do have a list of about, I would say 12 to 15 people, all from 3 different buildings. So the way we design that program is we'll have staff from each building. So we need to meet, we need to plan, and that's on my to-do list this week as far as getting some meetings set and picking out some lead teachers slash administrator type that can help me plan that. We do have some staff members that have done summer school programs already and have done them in other districts. So what I'm looking at right now, based on the survey, based on how much time we have to plan, and I'll talk to staff, but I need to check on their availability as well. But I'm looking at about 3 days a week. It would be an 8:30 to 12:30 slot. Staff would work 8 to 1, and that would be a 3 to 4 week program, which you could do at the 1st of August. You could do a little bit at the end of July into August. The challenge with it right after school gets out is we start getting into the July 4th, and it kind of breaks that up. And the 4th being on a Sunday, people not be there the Monday and the Friday before, or things like that. So just I'm figuring that out. We'll work with I'm gonna call them the summer school team, and I need to get those dates set, and I need to get the time set so I can send out registration for families, so I know exactly how many people are interested to be sending their students. So I anticipate that, and this has been a big push throughout the state, just talking with this one-time summer school money. This is something that people are pushing, that this funding and this program continuing with state funding in the future. So this first summer might just be, we're getting started and seeing what works best and what time slots work best and things like that, and continue to grow that in future summers. So there's been a lot of talk around that as well. We don't want this to be a one and done type program where we can build it up each year. So those are my main COVID updates as far as things related to COVID. I can open it up for questions, or if principals want to join now. Answer some specifics as well, if we can.
Was there any board comments?
Is there any plan for a in-person graduation?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I sent out to senior parents a little bit ago was, if we are in the lower moderate, I believe we could have an in-person graduation out on Kelly Field. We'd have the graduates all spread out in their chairs, and we would mark off zones where, like, every graduate could have a number of guests. Right now, we threw out the number of 4 that we believe we could accommodate by spreading them out, like around the track, everybody sitting in their own spaces with their families in chairs, and then up in the grandstands and things like that, and spread out outside, socially distanced with the students and also their parents. When we start getting into the high and the extreme, the numbers get significantly smaller. And at one point, we were looking at, like, every other graduate could have 1 parent, which doesn't work. So if we were in high or moderate, we were talking about doing the drive-through graduation ceremony like we did last year. And that went pretty well. The benefits of that is the graduates could have a lot more family members with them. So they get to have 4 cars full of family as they go through graduation. The drawback to that is they're not with their peers. They don't get to be the big class of 2021, the 100th graduating class, all together in one place. So one of them, all the kids are together, not as many parents. The other one, tons of family, everybody there to celebrate. It's more intimate with their family. but the kids aren't together. So we are looking at being able to be fairly flexible in doing the drive-through. Last year that went pretty well, and we know how to do the in-person. We've done that as well, so we can be pretty flexible and be able to shift back and forth depending on where the metrics are at. And so just keeping an eye on those, but to make sure people knew, I know there's people who would want to attend from out of town and making travel plans and things like that. We wanted to make sure they had an idea where we were at. So right now it's low moderate would be in person, Kelly Field. If we were in higher extreme, it would be drive-through.
Okay, thanks.
Jacob, in regards to that, when is that decision going to be made? Is that the Tuesday of the week of graduation, or is it the week before? Or
Ron, I'm sorry, I had my computer muted where I could talk, but I couldn't hear anything. I heard something about graduation there.
So to Will's comment regarding graduation, when does that decision get made? Is that the Tuesday when the state releases the numbers, or is it the week before graduation? Have you guys talked about when that decision needs to be made?
So right now they've gone to that changing to where they are doing it weekly as far as making the announcement, and then that Friday it goes into effect, where before there was like a movement week and a waiting week.
Okay.
So I think that was a temporary thing that the governor was talking about changing the way. And so we can be right up to the week before we would make that call. But I think it also, if it's close, I think in my experience, kids never want to do the thing that the class before them did, right? I think the drive-through went pretty well, but it's also this year's a special group. It would be great to be able to do it in person. If we were close, I think it'd be great if we could hold out some hope there, but we also need to order some things, set up things,
Yeah.
you know, even if graduation's on that Friday and we sent the word out by Monday. I know in my experience, this community rallies together and we can pull it off and make it happen. But at least by that Monday of the week of graduation, we need to let everybody know where we're at.
Jeff, a few more comments regarding summer school. I think I've asked this in the past, but just to confirm, so we're talking about school starting between 8:30 and running to 12:30. We would cover all buses for picking up the kids and dropping them back off.
Yeah, so yes, transportation will be provided. In the survey though, it was like 85% didn't need transportation in the survey, so it'd be interesting to see. But yes, we will, transportation's available if needed, and also meals are still free for all. So we'll serve breakfast and lunch as well.
And what's going to be the focus? Is it, I mean, how are you going to assess kind of what you need to work on during summer school?
So I think we are assessing right now, whether it's through iReady, whether it's through, so I think that's just a conversation that the group has. I mean, we have a lot of different teachers doing a lot of different things, different subjects, things like that. So we have a lot of flexibility. You know, we have to decide, you know, I did ask the question, do you want academic? Do you want an engaging social activity? And so most people said both. So we need to find a mix between both and have engaging activities. But I think that's a conversation we have, an admin that goes down to the summer school group and what we're seeing and the trends and things like that. So I would.
Will summer school only be in person?
I can't. Can we flip flop? What was that, Raymond?
Will summer school only be in person?
Yes. Huh. Yes, we do have credit recovery going on at the high school, which is done remotely or online, and Trish is checking in with those students.
And Jeff, I think I've talked about this in the past, and it's great that we have summer school, but as the teachers are doing their assessment, finding out where the kids are at, have we thought any more about how we can get everyone up to the same standard that we used to have?
So Ron, I don't know where we're at right now, to be
Okay.
honest. I mean, we still got a lot of assessing to do this spring and see, you know, where we're at. I mean,
Yeah.
before we start, you know, how much did we, I don't want to say lose this year, but how much didn't we gain? I think we had a good program in place, and I mean, we can all agree it wasn't the usual school year. So, but I think a lot of good
Yep.
things were done, and I think we still have a lot of work to do on that as we end our school year, because we still are offering state testing. People can opt out, and we are getting a lot of opt-outs, but we still are offering that. And a lot of the summary assessments are done by, obviously at the high school with finals and things like that, but also at the K-8, whether it's iReady or, Marjorie, help me, Wonders, iReady, Dibbles, Wonders, you know.
Yeah, you got it all.
So there's a lot of things we still have to get done this school year.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, don't get me wrong. I understand we all did our best with this. I just want to try to best be prepared for what the kids are going to need when they come back in the fall.
Yeah, and I think back to summer school planning, if you're waiting till August, you have some time to plan some curriculum. Like, we're going to finish up all of these assessments toward the end of the year, and then we're going to make a decision what we're going to do the following week in summer school. I mean, it gives us a little time to plan as well.
Yeah.
And then that August also, I mean, you can kind of tell where I'm leaning here, but I need to talk to the team. But having 3 weeks in August and then a week off, and then you're back in school, also students have an opportunity basically for, you know, 3-4 days, an extra 12 days prior to starting school, if parents would want that.
Yep. Is there any other board comments on this?
Not here.
Let's move on to number 6, action items. We have 2. Do I have a motion for 6.1?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any comments?
Just a question. Jeff, were there any changes, or, I mean, normally the changes, we used to have it where we'd see what the changes were. Were there any changes?
There was very minimal changes. I mean, you have the description in your board packet as well. So is that what you're asking, Raymond, or
Well,
the
it's normally,
dropouts and all of that?
in the past, they were highlighted, the changes, so we knew why we were changing it.
Okay, no, we did not include that this time. I don't think we have for the last couple of times that we can.
This one was kind of long, so I was wondering,
Yeah.
are you familiar with any changes?
Nothing that isn't highly recommended, and the changes were fairly minimal on the language, just to match up with existing rules.
For some reason, it said on it that this same document had been approved in 2020. I mean, this isn't something we approve every year, but I don't know why it would say that. It says approved like in May of 2020.
Yeah, I would
And what-
say, Will, I'm looking right now to see which one you're referring to, but
I think that's on the superintendent's responsibilities. Yeah, adopted on the qualification duties for the superintendent, adopted 7/10/2020.
It says 7/10/2000.
Oh, I'm sorry. That
But-
would be what that is, isn't it?
It's only
that'd be-
20 years off.
that'd be 21 years ago. Sorry.
No, but I will say though, because there are some in here, like the public complaints has been updated in 96, 2000, 07, 15, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, and now 21. So they're constantly just adding little tiny pieces to this that some issues may come up with just a tiny little piece of language, and then they send out these recommendations. So
Thank you.
Okay, was there any other comments on this? Do I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. All right, we move on to 6.2. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the budget priorities as outlined.
Second,
Second.
any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Okay, we go to 7.1, superintendent comments. Jeff?
all right, so the only thing I want to point out, I emailed each of you and asked you the question about the crosswalk and wanting to move forward, and it sounds like you are okay with me moving forward. You know, I hopefully answered your questions and your concerns you had. I've been in contact with ODOT quite a bit, and so I would like to move forward with that based on the feedback I got from each of you. That was the one thing I wanted to mention. The next step in that process is going over an intergovernmental agreement with ODOT. So it's not like you're going to see them out there tomorrow tearing stuff up, because they got to get agreements from both sides, both property owners, things like that, if there are those. But we'll be moving forward with that. If you have any other questions, let me know. I've been in contact with ODOT quite a bit, and we've been emailing back and forth, just trying to answer all the questions that you did have. And then I think that's about what I wanted to mention, except, you know, we did arrange vaccinations. We're through the same thing that we did with teachers and staff, that we are making those available to students if they want them. We're just making the available, the links and things like that, and the information for them. So it's not, they have that opportunity to do so. And then we will continue to work with the vaccination coordination for the county. So it was, it's pretty easy now, and they have too many vaccines now. So they're basically a walk-in clinic now. You don't even need to make an appointment down at the Oregon Convention Center. So, and then I do want to say, and I sent this out to parents in a letter, and I don't know, but just to explain to you, we were quarantining 10 days and we were having a test out option. OHA, that is no longer an option, and quarantine times are 14 days with no opt-out testing. We will continue that when we are allowed to do so. I had quite a few conversations with Washington County Health trying to get that. Because we had a good process in place, to be honest with you, and there was no school spread, and so, but hopefully numbers will start going back down and we can get back to what we were doing before.
What is their reason for not allowing a test option out at 7 or 10 days?
So Dan, what I heard is the test is too unreliable, as far as it's not as reliable as it needs to be. I mean, I know our district nurse has had a lot more specific conversations with them. But, you know, we were very good about testing people to be tested on certain days. We weren't conducting the tests at our place, but we were sometimes in certain cases, but once the kid was quarantined, we informed them that they could test after. And Jacob, please help me because it's been a couple of weeks, but we'd tell them exactly when to test, get the results, they're back on day 8, and it was going smooth. So after 5 they test, and then negative, come back on day 8. So it's just with the numbers going up, it came from OHA, and we were probably one of the only schools in the county, Dan, that was doing 10 days instead of 14. And so.
I really don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense based on what we actually know. That's really unfortunate because that means, you know, on top of these kids not being able to be in school in the past, we have 6 weeks left. And if somebody has to quarantine for 2 of them, they really are missing out on that much more. It just, yeah,
So
it's really
Dan,
disappointing.
I had multiple conversations with Washington County Health. I emailed ODE and I said exactly what you said. We're quarantining kids for 14 days when they're already have missed enough school, you know? So I was not very happy with this one. So, because we had a very good process in place. And like I said, our district nurse and our admin team have been, I would say, knocking this one out of the park with the protocols and procedures. They're pretty dialed in right now on how to do it the right way.
So this is coming through ODE from OHA, is that?
So, yeah, so OHA issued it to Washington County Health, or the county health. And then it used to say recommended, but now it says required. They changed the word in there because it was always recommended, but now it's required. So hopefully,
Yeah.
Dan, I don't agree with it either, but that's where we're at right now. So hopefully it'll go back to what we were doing before.
I mean, if you don't have symptoms or test positive by 7 days, I would doubt you have it. So unless you got it between then,
Yeah.
somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay, should we move on to board comments? 7.2, Raymond?
Well, Jeff, I did have a question about the crosswalk. In the meeting, he said, well, we would have to start clear over. So I understand going along with what he had, but he also said that we can look at having a crosswalk, just a painted one, up somewhere along the school to the park at a later date. Well, that's easy to say. Can you get some kind of commitment on that other than just, it's easy to say that and never come back to it. And because from what I heard in the last meeting on that, several of us thought there ought to be something from the school to the park and not down a block, even if it's just a painted one. And he did make the comment, we can look at that later. Well, later may never happen unless there's something confirmed on that.
So it has to be ADA.
I understand.
And so what that does when you move it down there, and I don't want to get into all because I probably am not doing it any justice, but it really takes up and almost eliminates the bike lane right there. So that was one of the things in front of the middle school, because you need to have the bulbs come out and things like that. I will ask that question, Raymond. I've seen him mention where we're going, or where the project is going to put it, and then also down by Trellis Way. And I know that's beyond the middle school.
Just as long as that it isn't just giving you what you want to hear.
Yeah, especially, I'm surprised that they've been so lackadaisical. They're usually so tight on this. And the bad news about this thing is there's nothing wrong with the new one they want to put in, but they're going to remove the one where everybody is in practice going to cross. So basically we're making it in practice less safe because we give up the one that's there, even though it's not a good one, for the other one, and that doesn't change people's habits. And I'm surprised that ODOT is not more attentive to that. They usually are.
Will, did you have anything, or Raymond, did you have anything more?
Nope.
Okay, Will, you have anything?
No, well, just the usual. It's the same. I just
Yeah.
just want to express my appreciation for everything everybody's doing. Our principals, our superintendent, our teachers, everybody. I'm just really pleased with the way things are going. I know we're doing the best we can.
Dan?
I agree with Will. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I really, we couldn't ask for anything else. I'm looking forward to the assessments and trying to figure out where we're at, just, so that we can figure out what summer school should look like and how we progress in the fall. So keep up the great work. Thank you.
And last for me, Jeff, real quick, when we take assessments that we're talking about in May, when do we get those results back? I forget if it's I know it wasn't quick.
I'd have to check, Ron.
Yeah, it seems to me, I don't know if one of the principals, it seemed like to me it was like winter or spring of 2021.
No, it
So-
used to be a pretty long turnaround, but they're pretty quick now. Sometimes they're
Okay.
almost immediate depending on the test.
Okay. Yeah. So assessment is what I heard, when we were talking about budget and where we need to be at. So I just, whatever we can do to find out where our kids are at, it just puts us that much further ahead. And I just, to the community, or whoever's watching this, please just do your part, wear a mask, be safe. Trying to get my kids and have a normal graduation. It's the 100th year graduating class for our school district, and just like to see that in person. And that's it for me. So with that, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.